Defensive tackle is a need again in this transfer portal, and the Miami Hurricanes already have a big visit lined up.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and writer for Canes County at Rivals. Today's episode is proudly brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel because new customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. On this loaded episode of Locked On Canes, we'll talk about it. I'm so proud of Cam Ward. He's invited to the Heisman ceremony. Ward is officially a Heisman Trophy finalist. We'll talk about what he's meant to the University of Miami in the short time that he has spent here, and it might not be over. He might play in the bowl game. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll talk about Miami's transfer portal needs by position and how many foundational players we have who are on the roster this year who are going to be back next year and what needs they need to fill in the portal. But we know that one of those needs Miami needs to fill, and this is why we bring in our resident defensive tackle enthusiast, the truth teller, Bruce Warner, is here because, Bruce, Miami is losing Simeon Barrow, who played really well this year, C.J. Clark, Marley Cook. These guys are moving on. We need D tackles again, sir.
Don't look at me. I know nothing about it. Come on, man. You're starting it already. These guys are going to chew me up and spit me out with all this D tackle stuff. But it's true.
It's true.
It's true. And I'll repeat it maybe till I'm dead. I don't know. Without those D tackles, the rest of the defense is not good. So, you look at the linebackers this year, they didn't play so great. The defensive backs didn't play so great. The inconsistency of that defensive line, unless everybody was on the same page, was not good. It didn't help that they didn't have the big-time pass rush. They just picked teams apart, and they just took 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds to get rid of the ball. Sometimes they got out of their hands in 2 seconds, and sometimes they just sat back there and go, let's see, this guy's open by 8 yards. This guy's open by 12. I'll throw it to him. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
They just were not on the same page. Now, whether they weren't good enough, I don't know. Whether they weren't coached well enough, don't know. Combination of the two, most likely. But they need to get better players. They need to hit in the portal on the defensive side, starting with this kid. He's pretty damn good. He's from Kentucky. Yeah. He's in Gainesville now, according to you. That's SEC country. He may want to stay in the SEC. That's all they keep talking about is the stupid SEC. Surprised they didn't just have a tournament just for them. And
that's what the SEC wants. The SEC wants just an SEC tournament only. No, they don't want anybody else.
And the winner plays the rest of the United States' tournament winner. That's what they think they should have. It might not be so bad. They might not be wrong either. They're pretty dominant. But let's hope the kid gets here tomorrow, and let's hope Mario could wrap this kid up. That'd be a good start, a D tackle to go along with Justin Scott. And I think they're going to move Bain to the inside. So, and then Ahmed Moten, I think they'll be okay if they can get this kid.
Yeah. Moten coming back is big. We need Justin Scott to develop. Ruben Bain may move inside. So the player who is going to be visiting, and this would be a big get for Miami, it's Kentucky defensive tackle Keeshawn Silver. Bruce mentioned he is in Gainesville right now. That's the first of his visit tour that he's going to be making. Going to be arriving in Miami tomorrow, Wednesday, visiting into Thursday. And this is a Bruce Warner type of defensive tackle. This is exactly the type of guy that you love. Bruce, he's 6'4", 336 pounds, and he is known as a run stuffer. 26 tackles, a TFL, and a sack last year, generated 10 pressures according to Pro Football Focus. And also according to Pro Football Focus, Keyshawn Silver, you know how many tackles he missed last year, Bruce? 0 missed tackles.
That's hard to believe.
Bring him on down.
It's hard to believe. But he does remind me of Cortez. He reminds me of Jerome. Not so much Russell. Russell was shorter. And Will Fork, he was more than 336, I think, when he was here. He was certainly more than in New England. But yeah, you need not just a run stuffer, but someone who could just collapse that pocket, not necessarily just get stuck at the line of scrimmage, hand fighting with everybody. You want someone who can collapse the pocket to free up everybody else around you. That's what you need. You need someone that gets in the backfield quick, like Sapp. Sapp wasn't 336, but Sapp got in the backfield almost every time, instantaneously almost, and that created a mess for the other team's offense, and it freed up the rest of our team to make plays.
Yeah, 100%. So Keyshawn Silver is going to be visiting this week. By the way, there's a couple more defensive players that I really like. We've talked before about the safety from Purdue, who we would love to have, Dylan Thieneman. He's very, very sought after, but we'd love to have him at safety.
Any news on a visit from this kid, or there's no news at all from him?
As of right now, I haven't seen any news on him visiting here.
But he's in the portal.
He's in the portal. Yeah, another player who just hit the portal today, who I think Miami likes. Now, he's a linebacker, which we could still use, help at that. We could use help at almost any defensive position, Bruce.
Yes.
But what's intriguing about this player, his name is Kendall Daniels from Oklahoma State. He's got tremendous range at linebacker because he's kind of like James Williams. He converted from safety to linebacker. Hopefully we would actually use him at linebacker here, but he can cover the entire field. Really good tackler. He's put on the really good size. He's 6'4", 235 pounds now. So this is a linebacker that apparently Miami is interested in because, yeah, we need safety help. We could use linebacker help, defensive tackle help a lot more. I feel better about where we stand at edge rusher, Bruce. I want to see how a guy like Cole McConaughey develops. I think he'll be ready to play more next year. Malik Bryant, didn't get that many reps behind the veteran guys, but Malik Bryant played really well. We'll see if, Bain plays more at edge or at tackle this year. And Bruce,
let's see if Lightfoot gains some weight. He can't be the same weight. He's got, by the time we go to the spring like we did last year, he's got to be 235. He's got to be.
Yeah. And also, I haven't shut the door on a return for Akeem Mesidor. He could be back. He's got another year of eligibility. Now, he was very productive when he was on the field this year. So I don't know if he feels good enough about his draft stock right now. Yeah, I don't see him as certainly not maybe a first or second day pick, maybe a day 3 pick. Akeem Mesidor may decide to come back. He's got a year of eligibility left. He could play off the edge, and that's his preferred spot.
Or injury issues with him could knock him back, and whether he comes back or not. Yeah. So it depends on how he feels. I don't know how he felt. Did you hear anything about his foot the entire season? I didn't. Maybe you did. I didn't.
I think he's okay. He needed to get those special cleats. Obviously NFL teams would inquire about how he's doing, but he needed the special shoes because of the foot injuries he had. But he
got moved inside, Alex. He got moved inside. He can't possibly tell people he had a great year. He may have been okay for us, but he wants to be in the end. Maybe he will come back knowing that he's going to be playing on a defensive end position, left or right side. And that's where he could really move up in the draft. He could be a 4th or 5th round pick if he has a good year. Right now, I think he might just be a free agent coming off of an injury and a year playing in the inside. That didn't help him.
Come on back, Akeem. We could use you for another year. No question about that. Now, Bruce, I want to talk about some situations on offense to monitor, including we're getting mixed messages on the quarterback situation. And we'll explain why. Because, again, we've had a lot of people throw out transfer portal targets or guys that are on their wish list at quarterback. I'm not completely sure Miami's not going to give Emory Williams an opportunity based on what we've been hearing. You folks want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started. We got the Truth Teller with us here on a Truth Teller Tuesday. I just want you guys to know this is the second time we're doing. In fact, Bruce, let me say this real quick. We've had to do this episode for a second time today, so I hope you guys appreciate it. I appreciate Bruce for being flexible, because there's a huge nationwide technical problem with StreamYard. That's the program we use to do shows. And it wasn't just me or our show, worldwide people were having issues with it. So we are, it's been
and it was a damn good show too. It was a great show, but we're doing it again. So hopefully you guys will like it.
This one's even better. I think it's going to be. So you want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. And I'm only getting started with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get ready to tackle all the NFL action with FanDuel, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with that $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. For your next listen, make sure you check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack and I, we host that show. We take you around the conference from all the college football playoff drama. We talked about the SEC fans whining. North Carolina might actually hire Bill Belichick to be their next head coach. There's been so much going on. Make sure you check it out on Locked On ACC. And Bruce, here on Locked On Canes, a big topic in recent days has been Miami's possible pursuit of transfer portal quarterbacks. And I know that a name, as soon as he entered the portal over the weekend, Darian Mensah out of Tulane, who had a super productive year with the Green Wave, he became a hot button target from a lot of Miami Hurricanes fans. We've been getting mixed messages there, right? Some folks, including myself, thought this was going to be a guy Miami would definitely pursue. But here's something that was posted earlier this morning by our pal Matt Shodell from Cane Sport, who says, per Mensah's agent, Miami is not recruiting him. So there's that, he says. A lot is still being figured out, chasing a bunch of stuff. So we'll post as we learn definitive info. So Mensah's agent says he's surprised the Canes haven't called yet. So we'll see if something develops.
He's
because
surprised.
Mensah would have
the
been
agent's
on
surprised.
his end.
Well,
The agent is surprised.
It makes it sound to me like the kid would like to go to Miami or at least talk to them.
That's what Shodell said. He said he would be receptive to Miami. So, okay.
Right.
So, Bruce, and Miami is very proactive with this stuff. Like Mario Cristobal,
there's something going on. I think you're going to tell me something that I'm thinking. Right.
There's something going, and we'll talk about, because I think there's two possibilities here of what might be going on. Because again, like folks, when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to transfer portal, Miami is super proactive. So if they were really interested, at least right now, I believe they would have made that phone call to Mensah's agent, and they haven't done so, at least not yet. So that has me wondering, couple things, Bruce. Number one, maybe they are really mulling over the idea that they want to give Emory Williams and their young quarterback room a shot, because the thing about Darian Mensah, Bruce, is this wouldn't be a one-year guy like Cam Ward. He's got 3 years of eligibility left.
Wow. Okay.
3 years of so you really, really have to wonder, is it worth potentially sacrificing our entire current quarterback room to bring in a guy with 3 years left? That's one of the dangers, right? Because you can bring in a one-year guy and you can give Emory Williams the idea that, hey, you can still work for this in 2026. Judd Anderson and Luke Nickel, who's going to be coming in as a freshman, same thing. You bring in a guy with 3 years of eligibility. That's a risky proposition for the rest of your room. Or another possibility, Bruce, and I'm not ignoring this either, is transfer portal has been open for a little over 24 hours. A lot of players have already declared, but there's going to be a lot more who haven't declared yet. Does Miami have an idea? Are they waiting for a certain other someone to hit the portal? Maybe that's why they're not giving Mensah a call.
Well, that's true. But I mentioned to you before, and I guess I'll say it now, not only is Emory Williams at risk, but they could lose Judd Anderson too. And there's also the outside possibility, if they get this kid, that Luke Nickel can say, wait a minute, I'm not sitting on the bench for 2 or 3 years. There's no way. Yeah. I mean, in his brain, he comes here next year and he sits a year, but not 2 or 3. And if Emory wins the job this year, I don't know what Judd's going to do, but he probably would bolt. I'm just speculating. And if Emory does well, he's got 2 more years after that he could play. Yeah. Right? Yeah. He didn't play this year. Yeah. So they burned his shirt from last year because he played a few times. So they're playing a dangerous game. This kid, this must be like the next, I'm not saying he's like Cam Ward, but if they're going to spend money on this kid for 3 years, they're sacrificing a possibility of a quarterback or two leaving, and B, what monies, and I don't know what their limits are, but they better get the defense fixed first.
Yeah.
First. I think if they spend money on this kid, you may lose the 2 quarterbacks. You have to go out and find another quarterback because Nickel has no experience. And then you still got to fix the defense. So my gut tells me that maybe that's why they're not making the call. They could still make one tomorrow or the next day.
Sure.
But in the next few days, if they can lock up this D tackle, that's A1, and that's a good start. And they got to work off of that.
Yeah.
But right now, there's too many variables for them to be committed to this kid. But they could at least talk to him. I don't know why they haven't called.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still think that if you're gonna bring in a potential starting quarterback, I think you could justify bringing in a 1-year guy because you can look at your current quarterback room and say not a lot of experience there. You know, Emory Williams, he's got 2 starts under his belt. Judd Anderson, 0 college experience under his belt. Obviously, Luke Nickel, 0 college experience under his belt. So I think you could justify and say, let's bring in another 1-year guy. And, you know, not to say there's another Cam Ward out there because he is one of one, but you bring in a guy who can kind of steady the ship for a year until one of these other guys is ready. You can justify that. But to me, bring in somebody,
you could justify it. You can. I'm sitting here. Saying if they get a 1 year, a 2 year, a 3 or a 50-year, I don't care. If they say someone else is coming in to be the quarterback, if I'm Emory Williams' family, forget it, the agent business, his family, I'm out of there. I'm not staying again. I'm not taking another year on the bench. And then Luke Nickel comes in. No, this kid wants to play. He wants to play next season. He's either the starter at Miami or he's someplace else. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's just my opinion. They can't tamper with this.
I respect it. I respect it.
Judd Anderson's a different story. He's only been here for 1 year.
Yeah.
But Emory Williams, he played last year. He beat Clemson. He could have beaten Florida State. And he was a true freshman. So he doesn't have a lot of experience, but they like him a lot. A lot.
Bruce, do you know who's available now? Tyler Van Dyke. He's in the portal.
Yeah, I would take him.
You know where he might go? He might end up at Duke. Malik Murphy is leaving Duke.
I saw that. What's that all about? He just got there.
It's got to be an NIL thing, and they had a really good year. They went 9-3. It's got to be. I don't know what else it could be because he had a very successful year there with the Blue Devils. They had a really good year, so I don't know. Maybe he's getting offers from bigger football programs than Duke, but there's already been some smoke that maybe
he's lining up Duke for a bidding war, and he wants more money.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if he really wants to leave, but if I'm him and who's helping him, that's exactly what I would do. Remember, Van Dyke Drew Rosenhaus was saying, "Oh, he's going to go to Alabama."
Yeah,
not going anywhere. Alabama could never take him. Never.
There's already been some smoke about Van Dyke reuniting with Manny Diaz at Duke.
That could be. That could be. I wouldn't surprise me. Guess what? We don't play them again. We don't play them next year, or we do?
I'm not sure. I know we don't play everybody. There's no more Coastal, so we don't play everybody every year. So
maybe we don't play them for a while.
Yeah,
that would be something if he comes to Duke, goes to Duke, and we don't play them.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see him in the ACC championship game. Who knows?
Oh yeah, so we have to get there first, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so if we look at the quarterback thing is super interesting, and let me just say this: I would love to see my dude Emory Williams get an opportunity because he's worked so hard. So let me throw that out there. Like I would love to see him get a chance. But so outside of quarterback, Bruce, who returning Miami players? Let's start with the offense. Who we think are foundational guys who are coming back. This is before you add transfers. Returning players who can be foundational guys. Because a couple that stand out for me on offense, and you can tell me.
You asked me the question, and now you're answering it.
Okay, I'll let you answer it then. Who are the foundational guys on offense?
I don't know. I'll ask you. No, I'm just kidding. We did this before. I mean, Isaiah Horton.
We did it before, but nobody heard it, so we got to do it again.
Oh, right. Maui Noah. Definitely. Horton, Isaiah Horton. Definitely the guys on the offensive line like Bell, McCoy. We're losing the center.
Yes,
definitely Riley Williams is going to have to stay because we know that Arroyo's gone. The running back Lyle, obviously, Fletcher, obviously, those guys are 2 really good players, and I think that on offense that's pretty much it. But the offense was not the problem.
Hopefully Elijah Lofton as well. I want to see.
He's not going anywhere.
No, of course he's not good, but I'm saying hopefully a foundational player because I don't think you mentioned him. Like I want to see Riley Williams and Elijah Lofton
Right.
become, another dynamic duo at tight end. I would love to see the two of them get a lot of burn next year.
Yeah, I would too. And I think Lofton's got to lose a little weight. He looked a little too, to me, he looked a little too thick, just too thick. I didn't remember seeing him like that in the spring, but he still could run. He still runs pretty fast for a big kid like that. But they didn't really use him enough. And we don't have an experienced field goal kicker. Remember, we mentioned that too earlier.
Yeah.
The field goal kicker
no more
is a question mark.
Yeah. I mean, Abram Murray, he's going to get his opportunity as a redshirt freshman next year. And for what it's worth, Abram was the top kicker in the country in the class of 2024. So he's got the pedigree, but
right.
We got so spoiled for 5 years, Bruce. We had the Boregalis kicking factory, right?
Yeah,
it's too bad they didn't have any more kids. Like you should have had another son. What are you doing?
We went from maybe they got a nephew. Who knows?
Yeah, not that I know of, but I would love it. So we went from, Jose Boregalis, who won the Groza, Andy, who, I guess they haven't announced this year's Groza yet, but if he doesn't win it, he'll be robbed, but he should. Actually, no, he didn't I don't think he made the finals, right? So he's not going to win it, which was absurd.
Yeah.
But, four great years.
Everybody loves Miami. What do you expect?
Right. 4 great years of Andy after a great year from Jose. So it's going to be the Abram Murray show next year.
Well, I'm not that worried. He was a number 1 in high school. I trust their judgment on him, but I'm having a hard time with the defense. I still am. I've been saying it. We've said it all year long. The foundational players, obviously Bain, but he's got to crank it up. I'm sure he's going to get moved inside. He's just too short to be on the outside, as far as I'm concerned. He gets caught up a lot of the traffic. He's always caught up in the traffic.
He's a power rusher, so it probably works better for him inside anyway.
Yeah, and I listen. He's good, and you've got Blunt's got to get better. He's young. He's
true
so
freshman.
young.
He's
also like just turned 18 or something like that.
He did. Young. So got to give the man. He's got to get better. Like he's a kid. You got to give him some time.
And Justin Scott needs more PT, a lot more PT.
Yeah.
He's got to be in the rotation because he's got the size, the height, the bulk, and he can move. He's got to be in there. I mean, he may have a bigger upside than Bain.
Ahmad Moten's going to be a big-time player this coming season.
You're right. I've been saying that all year. He's having a good year, and I think he needs to be in there. He also collapsed that pocket. The DNs, we have McConaughey. We still have a few other guys. Lightfoot's got to gain some weight.
Malik Bryant, maybe Messador, maybe he'll be back.
Right. And at linebacker, we have Basaint, Aguirre. Popo had a pretty good when he was not out. You got to like it. And they still have some other kids, and they got the Wiley kid now, who I don't know if he's going to be able to play as a true freshman, but he's got the size, that's for sure.
Pruitt, I think Bobby Pruitt is going to play a lot in his second year.
Absolutely, yeah. He's he didn't do much during the year. He played good in the last couple of games. He was damn good when we saw him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
In the spring, but that they have the bodies. I don't know whether it's the players, the coaches, which is what we said earlier. It could be both. I'm not sold on some. Everybody loves Nicholson. I'm not sold on the corners coach Jackson. Right. I'm not sold on Guidry. I think Jason Taylor stinks. No, I'm only kidding.
What? Taylor. I mean, no matter what happens to the rest of the defensive staff, do not give Jason Taylor whatever he wants. We need that dude to stick around.
Yeah. What about goes to the Gators?
Yeah. Well, what about the defensive backfield? Because I know that they didn't have a good year, but OJ Frederic, he was in some bad situations in the Syracuse game, but he played great as a true freshman for most of the season. We have high hopes for Damari Brown, who only played in 2 games because of his injury this year. Saquon Patterson,
we need to get another solid safeties, but somebody who could run. We knew that Mish couldn't run. I don't know that much about Williams. He may be okay on the bench, but that's it. They have names. They did get a bunch of names. They have a bunch of 4-stars. Even though they lost Stubbs, they still have other really good players that are coming in. And so you got to let these kids play. Stafford's gone. So I think they'll be okay. But I'm saying it for the 20 millionth time. As the D-line goes, the rest of the defense goes.
Yeah.
And those kids will have a much better shot of not having a bad year if the defensive line can do what they should be doing, getting in the backfield, breaking up the play, whether it's a run, whether it's a pass. They need to be getting in the backfield on a more consistent basis, not 2 or 3 times a game. And the rest of it, they look like they're getting beaten off the ball. So, that's not for us. We're just making assessments. We're not sitting here predicting who's coming or who should leave or the coaches. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are concerned about the coaching.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I see enough of it. Unless I delete my social media accounts, I'm going to keep seeing people who are unsure about that. Now, one thing we are sure about was the awesome year that Cam Ward just had at Miami. And I want to talk about what he's meant to this football team. And I'm so glad he's on his way to New York. Folks, we're not done yet. You want to keep it rolling right here. Keep it with us on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. I have become a gift-giving hero thanks to the people at Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite, and right now, you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, score an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off. You're practically getting these steaks for nothing. 50% off plus $30 off with our promo code COLLEGE. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply. Thank you for making this Truth Teller Tuesday episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Before we get to award stuff, I wanted to say something how bizarre. The season was great. 9-0. They wind up 10-2 and whatever. Isn't it weird that at the end of the season, in the last drive, Ward, when he fumbled or he did something wrong, prior to that, Restrepo drops the ball again for the second time in a row, which is bizarre. And, of course, the old reliable Jacoby George is involved with a play that he gets penalized. This cost us 15 yards, and it cost us a shot at winning the game and a shot at getting to the ACC title game and the playoffs. All because of this. The weirdness of Restrepo putting it on the floor again.
Yeah.
And the mouth, after the whole season, the mouth was shut, and then he finally opened his big mouth when we needed him to shut his mouth the most, Jacoby George. And, of course, Ward with the fumble. But you can't say anything but great things about him. This was the most exciting season in 20 years, and it was mostly because of him.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce, Miami has not had a Heisman finalist since 2002. They had 2 of them that year, Ken Dorsey and Willis McGahee, who took votes from each other, I think, as they came in 4th and 5th. I think if only one of them had gone to New York, maybe we would have had a Heisman winner that year. But and I'm so proud of Cam Ward because he's headed to New York, Bruce, and you see this this graphic here from ESPN. But I see what they did there, and it's Miami gets no respect, Bruce. And, unfortunately, Ward is my Heisman Trophy winner. Unfortunately, the committee they're going to give it to Travis Hunter. He is the massive, massive favorite. But when I look through the stats that they put out there on this ESPN graphic, and I'll describe it for those who are listening to the audio version, they're trying to make Dylan Gabriel's numbers look better, the Oregon quarterback. So they put his total yardage, 3,558 total yards. For Cam Ward, they only put his passing yards, which are 4,123. But if they wanted to do equal footing on the graphics, Bruce, Ward has an additional 200 yards rushing and an additional 4 rushing touchdowns, which would have it at 40 total touchdowns. He's got 36 passing, 4 rushing. So
when you look at these stats, Alex, though, it makes Ward look much better than Gabriel without the additional numbers he should have on there.
Dylan Gabriel, listen, his team is fantastic, right? Oregon, they're undefeated. They're number 1 in the country. Congratulations to them. And, of course, Dylan Gabriel was a big part of it. But, Cam Ward has meant more to his team than Gabriel has meant to Oregon this
Well,
year.
what
And
about
the
Travis
numbers
Hunter?
reflect
They
that.
don't have Shedeur Stewart on this thing.
No, yes,
Shedeur Sanders.
yeah, Sanders
And
is not a finalist.
maybe he
this year.
takes away some of Travis Hunter's votes, and we don't even know about that.
Well, he's not going to get any votes because he's not a finalist. It's going to be between.
Oh, he's not a final. Why did they never?
No, he's
did
not a
this
finalist.
before, did they?
They invite a certain. It's usually anywhere between 3 to 5. They invite to the.
Well, he probably would have been number 5. They should have put his name up there because
so
maybe they
votes away.
To take the votes away. Right, here we go again. We get screwed.
The Miami hate. The Miami hate. But I mean, Bruce, if I were to ask you, and I'm asking you right now, what has Cam Ward meant to Miami this year? What would you say?
Probably a one-word answer. Everything. I think he's meant everything. He created excitement without even taking a snap. He created a lot of excitement in just the way he plays, his mannerisms, it almost looks like he's indifferent when he's out there, but he's not because he wants to win in the worst way. He created excitement for this team, for this city, for the coaching staff. I think he's made things more relevant with Miami, despite the hate, national hate. Yeah. He's made us more relevant now. He's put us in there. We were in the top 20 right after the first week or 25 and never got out of there. So he's done a lot. And he deserves to be up on that stage. He actually deserves to win. I think he's the best player in the country. I don't care what anybody says about the 2 Colorado guys. They're really good, but you couldn't catch that many balls without Sanders throwing the ball, right?
Yeah, right.
So you don't see anybody else from Miami up there. He shattered Miami records, and I think he's the best player on the board. And I bet you, other than maybe Travis, I think he's going to be the first out of all those players. He's going to be the first one picked. Certainly more than a running back. He'll probably maybe go to Dallas at 10 or 11. Not sure where Gabriel's going to go. He's small. I'm not even sure he's going to be a draft pick. He's so small. Yeah. Good player, but he doesn't have the height to see over. Look at the trouble Tua has in these years, plus the injuries. Not a big arm guy either. They're looking at Tua, and you're looking at him, you're looking at Tua, and he's been successful because he's got guys that have speed, but he doesn't have a great arm. He's not a great quarterback.
I think Ward should be the first quarterback taken. If not him, Shedeur Sanders. They're both going to be really, really high draft picks. And I just want to say, like, it's been an honor to cover Cam Ward this year. Of course, to watch him on TV. My son does the Cam Ward celebration around the house. Guys are going to keep doing that, I think, for years because players all around, even NFL players, have been doing that celebration. So that's going to become a thing now because Cam Ward made that celebration viral. And of course, just watching, and you mentioned shattering all the records. I mean, in the same season, he broke an almost 40-year-old single season touchdown record, a 40-year-old single season passing yardage record. Ward did all of that this year, and there's so much stuff. And Miami's done a really good job, like telling his story, and with the interviews he's done this year, you can tell what a leader he is. But that was the first thing that stood out to me, Bruce. I met Ward for the first time during spring football, and I quickly realized, like, this guy's not just here, to be a 1-year, mercenary or to raise his draft stock. Now, he has raised his draft stock.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations to him. But he was all Miami. As soon as he walked into the building, this guy got to know all of his teammates really quickly, set the example. This guy was in the film. I don't think he has any social life whatsoever. He's trying to fulfill his dream of playing football at the highest level, and his teammates love him in a way I don't think I've ever covered. Now, I wasn't covering the guys who played. I didn't cover Dorsey. I started covering Miami after that. But in the almost 20 years I've been covering Miami football, I don't think I've seen a quarterback who's gotten this much respect from his teammates. I'm sure some of the great ones in the old days did, but I haven't covered one that has his teammates respect like Cam Ward does. And it's just such a professional, such an awesome human being. And we were talking about this earlier, Bruce. As long as he doesn't go to the New York Jets, I'm gonna root for whatever team he plays for at the next level.
But he created so much excitement on the reviews and the replays and ESPN with all those amazing things with runs and the pass he threw against the Gators, rolling to his left. He threw a bullet to George in the back of the end zone. He did it in a different game too. And all the games where all the pressure, we were down 35-10 against Cal. It looked like we were still 0-0 to him. It didn't impact him at all. I don't see any of the highlights from these other guys. I mean, the running back, all right, he's great, but it was no O.J. Simpson and some of these other guys that ran for 1,800, 2,000 yards. He's good. He's the best this year. Sanders, I didn't see much Colorado this year. They were on a couple of times. He made some great plays, but I just don't see anybody with this much excitement and this much creativity and this much cool, as these guys kept saying how cool he was. And just it's going to the bench and getting mad at himself for he makes a mistake. To me, he was the season for 2024 college football, not these other guys. I'm sorry. They may win the Heisman. He's the best player up there.
Amen. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Bruce Warner. And again, this is our second ride of the day because
this better work, man, because I got things to do. I haven't even eaten breakfast yet, let alone lunch, and it's 1 o'clock.
God willing, people can hear us right now because there was we use and it's always been an awesome service, StreamYard, but it was having serious worldwide glitches today. So this is our second go around. We appreciate everyone for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Smash that like button and subscribe. And we'll talk to you guys again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.